Welcome back to the final video of our Spring Boot series. So far we have learned how to build APIs, connect to databases, use controller service, repository layers and perform CRUD operations. In the final video we are going to bring it all together with a real world mini project, a book lending tracker. This will be a full stack project, but in this video I will not cover the front end part, I will only cover the back end part. You will get the front end code in the description. That part is built in React, but don't worry, no React explanation is here. Well, we will write every line of code together, no copy paste magic. Let's get started. So first of all we need to create our project. So as you guys can see on the screen, you need to do this. You need to select Maven in the project section, language Java, Spring Boot version as you wish, and here I am going with artifact name as book lending app and group as com.cs corner. And these dependencies you will be needing for this project. One is Spring Web, another is Spring Data JPA, next is MySQL driver, and another one is Spring Boot Dev Tools. Okay, I have already created the project, so let us begin. This is our project. So first of all we will start by creating our models. So for this we will create one new file, model slash user model. First of all we will create model for our user to save user data. Yes guys, and as you can see our user file is created. Now we will annotate by @entity, and next is we will add one id and the user of name of the user. So we'll say id and it would be auto generated. So generated value strategy is equal to generation type dot identity, and we'll say private id long, and another would be private string name. We would be needing data setters and constructors. So let us quickly create them. Source of action and data setters. Okay, and constructors also we will be needing, so create constructors. Yep, that's it. Now we will be creating another model to save our books data, so we will name it book.java. Again here we will annotate by @entity, and we'll say id. I guess we will just copy paste it from here. Private string title would be for the book, and again suppose one book is landed and we need to say that the book is not available, that's why we will need one boolean variable. So available equal to true. By default it will be true. Okay, so again here we will be needing data setters, and now there would be one another model also for lending, so we will just create it. So new file lending.java. Again here there would be same id line, and here would be entity. But at this point here there would be some another thing, such as we will do relationship between these all the tables. So we will be doing @many to 1, and we will say private user, and again many to 1, private book and book. And again here there will be also one timestamp, private local date, and lane date. Okay, so here we will also needing data setters, and again we will be needing constructors. Okay, that's it for our model layer. So guys, here there are three models. One is for user, another is for book, and another is for lending. So lending will have time at which the book is lended, and here are relationships. So you guys are thinking that what is many to one? So many to one shows each lending links one user and one book only. So that's why we are using many to one. This is taught in MySQL, so I hope you guys know it. And lane date records when the book was borrowed. So now this is done. Now we will create repository layer for all three of these models. So we will quickly create one folder, and in it we will be start creating the repository layer. So we'll say firstly user repository. Here it will be annotated by repository, which will be interface, and which will be extended by JPA repository user long. Yep, that's it. All the methods would be built in by JPA, so we no need to create any kind of methods here. So we'll create one another for book, and here we again do the same. Okay, so we will create one last for our lending. So we will write lending repository dot java, and again here will be same. It will be interface and extends to JPA. Here lending and long. Okay, that's it for our repository layer. Now we will come to our service layer. See guys, here nothing is to explain because everything is very simple and basic, which I have explained in previous videos. Okay, so we will create our service layer right now. So new folder, and we'll say lending service dot java. So as it is service layer, so we need to specify here at the service, and here we will just do auto wiring. private lending repository. We need to do auto hiring for 3 of the repositories. Again @auto hired private book repository. Again @auto hired user repository. Okay, auto wiring is done. Now we will write our logic. So we'll say, first of all we will create one method for lending the book. So and we'll say public and lending, means it would return the object of the lending model. So we'll say lend book, and it would take parameter as user ID and book ID, because lending means there would be one user and one book, like user is taking the book, so we need both of the IDs. So long user ID and long book ID. In this, here we will say, first of all we will check if the user and book are available or not. So we'll say user equal to user repository dot find by ID, and we'll pass the user ID. And if the user ID is not present, then or else we will say throw one exception and say new runtime exception saying user not found. That's it. Okay, and again we will do same for our book. So we'll copy paste it. We'll say book, and we'll pass here book ID. Here it will be book not found. Oh sorry, here will be not book user repository, it will be book repository. Now if book dot is available, and here we are specifying not, then we'll say throw. Okay, so here we are saying that if the status of the book is not available, so we will be saying that book is already lent out. That's why we have created the boolean, because our boolean will say if the book is lented by someone, then the books is available would be false. Okay, so that's why we will be throw here exception runtime exception, which will be saying book is already lent out. Now we are saying that if book status is available and book is also available and user is also available, then set the book as false because we are now assigning it to the user or we are lending it to the user. So we'll say book dot set available is equal to false. And now we'll say book repo dot save book. So we are saving it in our database and then we'll start lending. So we'll say lending equal to new lending and say lending dot set user will be user and next lending dot set book will be book and then lending dot set lend date would be local date right now dot now, and now we will be returning lending repository dot save lending. Okay, that's it for the method. Now we'll create one another method for listing all the books or lendings. So we'll say public list of class lending and get all lendings, which will don't take any kind of parameters. So return lending repository dot find all. Simple. Now we'll say if one user is returning a book, so we'll say public void deleting lending, which will take parameter as long id and will be lending equal to new lending, not new lending, it will retrieve the object which containing the id which we are passing in this parameter. So we'll say lending repo dot find by id and we'll say id, not all, find by id. And we are saying that or else if it is not available then throw exception, and in this we will be saying that new runtime exception which will be saying that nothing found. And now we'll say that the book is available, so we will change the status of the book, that is available is true. So we'll say book equal to book repository dot, not book repository, we can do this directly, lending dot get book. So we'll say book dot set available equal to true, because now the book is written and it's available. Now we'll say book repo z3 dot save. Like this line will be making changes in our database. So book, yep, done. And now we also do the changes in our table of lending. So we'll say, and now we are deleting the lending record. So lending repository dot delete by id, and we'll say id. Yep, that's it. Now we will come to our controller layer, and we'll say, first of all we will create the file. We'll say lending controller. As this is the controller, we need to annotate by @controller. And now here we can do our mapping. So first of all we need to auto wire the three of the repositories. So we'll say private and user repository. We'll make changes. It will be book repository, and it will be book. Here it will be lending repository. Okay, that's it. All the auto wiring is done. Now we will start with our mapping. Awesome. That wraps up the backend setup. We have created our models, set up repositories, and connected everything through our services. In the next part, we will dive into the controller layer and expose our APIs using REST controller. We will also test everything using Postman. So make sure to check out our part 2 coming up next. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the series.